Okay, so have you guys seen this whole spaces thing? It's blowing up.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting how it's changing things.
It's not just about like another platform to check, right? It's like how we are actually using this stuff is changing.
Exactly.
So, big picture, right? We're talking about the future of audio, the future of how we connect online, maybe even like what it means for our careers. No big deal, haha.
Right.
And the reason I'm so fired up about this is because of this article we came across. This tech writer, he's always ahead of the curve, and he's really diving deep into spaces on, X, what used to be Twitter. But like I said, it's not just about Twitter, it's about like this whole shift that's happening.
And that's what he gets at in the article. It's like he's almost using his experience as a launch pad to talk about something bigger.
Yeah.
It's how we're moving from just listening to actually participating.
Exactly. Like we all listen to podcasts, right? At least I hope you guys do. Haha. But imagine if you can jump into the conversation, ask a question right there in the moment. That's kind of what this spaces thing is doing.
Yeah, like you're listening to a podcast and you have a thought or you disagree with something, but you can't just jump in.
Yeah.
But with spaces, that barrier is gone. It's like real-time interaction.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Huge. And it makes you realize we crave that connection even online. I mean, think about how popular live streaming has become.
Oh, totally. Twitch, YouTube Live,
Mhm.
even Instagram Live. People want that feeling of being in the same room, even if they're miles apart.
And this writer, he was saying how in spaces, you never know who will show up. And that's part of the thrill, I think. You could end up in a conversation with someone you'd never ever meet otherwise.
Yeah. It's like that feeling of like a live event,
Yeah.
whether it's a concert, a conference, even just a conversation with a bunch of people after. The energy is different. It's unpredictable. You might miss something if you step away.
Exactly. And it makes
Yeah.
you think, right? What actually pulls people in? Is it that perfect, polished podcast, or is it that raw, in the moment energy?
Because it's not just about the content itself, it's the experience.
100%. Okay, so there's this other point he made, and this is where it starts to get really interesting for us, I think. He's talking about how in these new spaces, the key to standing out is to find your niche.
Yes. And it makes perfect sense if you think about it. He talks about how he focuses his space on tech and AI.
Which is smart. It's like instead of trying to shout over everyone else in this massive online world, he's created this little corner of the internet.
Where people who are into that specific thing.
Can come together and really geek out.
Exactly. And we're seeing this everywhere online, right? Micro communities built around everything from, I don't know, bread making to collecting vintage video games.
To like our deep dives, it's people coming together over a shared passion, finding their tribe, as cheesy as it sounds, and that's powerful.
It really is. Because it's not just about the information, it's about the connection.
Okay, so putting it all together, what does this all actually mean?
Well, it seems like things are changing fast. The way we experience audio, the way we learn and connect online, it's evolving.
And to stay ahead of the curve, we can't just be passive consumers of information anymore. We have to be willing to jump in, engage in these new ways, find our people.
And I think the big question is, how is this going to continue to change things? What about education, professional development? Could we see virtual classrooms happening in these spaces? Companies using it for training?
It's amazing to think about.
Right. And what about like the very idea of community? Will these digital spaces actually start to change how we interact in the real world too?
It's a lot to process, and it's really cool to see these spaces having such a big impact.
Yeah. Definitely lots to think about as we navigate this whole online world.
True.